There's never been a better time and an easier time to make money. If you can empathize with people and you get their heart and you can connect with them, more often than not, you'll make more money than you can ever imagine. No one gives a shit about your IQ, bro. It's EQ.
Amir Siyad.
Speaking alongside
Amir Siyad,
a titan in the mortgage lending industry.
An entrepreneur.
For speaking with Amir Siyad.
I just think we have to learn how to fast track. It's a very tough time, as you can imagine. We immigrated here from Iran when I was 5 years old. We left all family back home. I get a little emotionally thinking about it. I've given this story, so I've gotten tough around it. When I learned to be an entrepreneur, is I was forced to be an entrepreneur. My dad would pull me out of bed. He shook the laziness out of me. He molded me to be a hard worker.
What's the first thing you will do?
This might be a surprising answer. I would go online and I think a startup at the very early stages, you got to fill the funnel, dude. Don't worry about all the back end stuff. You have to work for somebody else. You have to know what it's like to work for somebody. Nice doesn't make it in business. Good makes it in business.
Hey Amir, I'm super excited that you're on this show. And, I've been doing some research on you and you had a quite journey. And to be honest with you, as an immigrant, I could completely relate to you. One of the posts that you posted on LinkedIn, I saw the story of your father, your grandfather, and how you got to be multi-6, 7, 8-figure person who've been successful and done a few businesses. I think I believe you had, you were a branch manager at Guaranteed Rate, and also you are co-founder of Growth Only Coaching. But my question is that I'm really curious about, how did you get this ambitious? Why do you want, what got you to want more? What was the reason behind it?
Well, Sam, I'm happy to be here with you, my Persian brother. Okay. And, just how you approached me in LinkedIn stood out amongst everybody else. And I think you having this podcast company just speaks to how well it works, because you said you want to interview me, and when I did a little research on you and, you're a young, aspiring businessman, I'm very happy to be here with you, and
Thank you.
I think it's going to hopefully give your audience a lot of inspiration that anybody can be successful, right? So to answer your question specifically, I've had some luck in my life, but I've taken advantage of the luck, okay? So my family, as we talked about before, we got live, we immigrated here from Iran when I was 5 years old, just my mom and dad and I. We left all family back home. So we came to Chicago. My mom couldn't get a job at McDonald's. My dad was a shoe salesman making $3.75 an hour in 1985, battling high school kids for hours, It's very tough, man. I remember that very well, so I'm not traumatized in any which way, but it's what molded me, and leaving at 5 years old, coming to a whole new country, getting picked on by kids because I didn't really speak any English. We had a lot of financial stress in the house. My parents both come from very big families, Middle Eastern families. They didn't have any of that. It's a very tough time, as you can imagine, for young parents in a whole new country struggling, to make ends meet without any family. Think about that, right? And so we lived in a small apartment. My bed was next to my parents' bed. It was a 1-bedroom. And I get a little emotionally thinking about it. I've given this story, so I've gotten tough around it. But my dad had some Iranian friends, and they, either Iranian community, or either like rocket scientists, engineers, or attorneys, or you're just hustler, small business guy.
Exactly.
There's no in between, man. So
exactly,
right, dude. So they told my dad, his name was Hassan. They said, he got some Iranian friends. They said, you're a good sales guy. You should sell some cars. So he was selling cars outside of our apartment building, putting ads in the classified and buying a car for $700, selling it for $1,200, right?
Yeah.
He got very good. So he started putting 5, 6 cars in the parking lot, and the neighbors started complaining and calling the police on him because he had a mini car dealership at the apartment building, because a lot of people were coming in to look at cars. And my mom said, we can't be doing this anymore. So he went and, got a small piece of property near Wrigley Field in Chicago and started selling cars in the late 80s. And nobody can make that dealership work, Sam, because people don't realize this, but Wrigley Field area in Chicago in the 80s was a very bad neighborhood. Now, you know, it's very expensive, very gentrified. And so no one can make that car dealership work. My dad made it work because he's a very honest guy. He's very charismatic, but he's also very honest, you know? Sometimes with very charismatic people, you got to be kind of careful. They're schmoozing you. Can I trust them? But he became legendary because a lot of the Latino community would buy cars from him, the chefs, the busboys, the waiters. And so it was all in-house financing. They would buy $1,000 cars, right? And they would make payments. They would come every Saturday and pay $50 in payments. And the cars would break down and my dad would fix it for them at no cost. My dad would take their cars back. So his reputation spread like brush fire amongst that community. They said he's a very good man. And he just started selling more cars. And the cars couldn't even sit on the lot. They would move so fast, right? He became a very good buyer and he became a very good seller. And so you may know this, but immigrant households, if your parents own a small business, you're going to work with them, right? There is no college football Saturdays. There's no like you're going to go play hide and go seek on Saturdays with your friends. Yeah. I need you. You're coming to work, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah, I know.
Saturdays, I had really no friends. I was learning English, and you know, I got better at English, but like it's like you're going to work with your dad. You know, my mom would say, "Get this kid out the apartment," right? So my dad will pull me out of bed. He shook the laziness out of me. He molded me to be a hard worker because he was always in survival mode. So I would get in the car Saturdays. Every kid sleep until 11. I'm in the car at 8 o'clock going to the dealership. He goes, "You're washing cars." So I would wash cars. But my dad always made work fun, Sam. He wasn't a dictator, right? He would have fun with me. The salespeople were such cool guys, right? And so I would hang out with them and I would wash cars and he would give me money for ice cream. And you know, so he made work a lot of fun and he gave me a lot of confidence. Fast forward, I started selling cars when I was 16, 17 years old. The first car I ever sold, my dad went to Iran for 30 days when I was 17 years old. And he gave me so much confidence. So look, I was not good in school, but I got a second education in business, in small business. And he always gave me confidence. He went to Iran for a month. He said, "You're going to sit at my desk and you're going to manage the dealership." It was small dealership. It was the first shock exposure I had to have responsibility, right? And I said, when I think back on it, I said, this guy was crazy how he did that. But he gave me a lot of trust. Our first car was to a Persian kid, young man. He wanted the red BMW M3. And he came and bought it. And my dad would call every day from Iran. And I said, "Dad, I sold my first car." He was so proud of me. So he gave me wings. You understand? So when I learned to be an entrepreneur, is I was forced to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay. Through my parents. And I was around business people, salespeople. I got to see my dad selling. I got to wash cars. So I learned work ethics. By time, Sam, I turned 12, 13, 14, it's who I was.
Yeah.
I just naturally became a very hard worker because I had the small business access where I was working 6 days a week in the summer breaks, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I would learn how to count money at a young age, so I was not intimidated by money later on. I learned how to run credit reports and understand people's financial viability to get eligible for a car loan. I would go pick up checks from bankers. I would learn how to sell. I learned in Chicago, which is a very diverse city, how to work with different cultures. I learned how Asian communities like to buy. I learned Hispanic communities, Latin communities. I learned Eastern European. I learned American. They all have idiosyncrasies in how they negotiate and buy. You know, and all I needed as a young man was some people to give me some wings to endorse what I was thinking about doing. So part of that was my own type of initiative to ask for advice. And when I went there, it was sales. I got into the sales business. And I think the root of entrepreneurship is, can you sell yourself? Can you sell what your audience wants? And there's lots of different techniques to become a master at that. Because entrepreneurship is understanding how people think and how people tick and how to connect with people at a very quick pace. That's what entrepreneurship is for the most part. There's other pieces as well. So I had a second education by force. I took advantage of it though. You follow? My parenting
that's
is really,
what I wanted to say. Yeah, because I was reading your story, and I actually saw one of your Instagram reels. It was you were I think you were talking on stage, and you said the story of you dropping out of college, and then you getting your first job. You took the shish kebab, and the guy didn't want the lunch. So we can actually, you can say that story for the audience. But like, to me, that you've learned all of this stuff. That's true. But luck only comes if you take action. And with your skill set, with your action, with your desire, you took the initiative to basically change yourself and even go beyond what you and your father built together. One of the things about your father is the mindset behind taking risks at that moment, because you guys had nothing, and then being responsible. I don't have kids. Just imagining being responsible for kids and also taking the risk to open a business. And that's crazy, the mindset behind it. It takes so much courage and guts to do it. And yeah,
it does. Thank you for pointing that out, man. Thank you for pointing that out, because I'm 42 and I have a year and a half old daughter. And I think my dad was 28. My mom was 24. They left their entire home native country with a 5-year-old. Sam, think about this, right? And then he opened his own business. It's just the level of courage that takes. Dude, I don't even know where he got that from. But the cool thing is that he passed it to me, because sometimes people at that type of build, they may not know how to pass that confidence on to their kin. They don't know how to give that confidence to their network. And my dad did. And so that story about how I got that first job is very much aligned to that, because when I was in college for like a little bit of time, I hated it. I realized I'm miserable. I didn't even graduate high school. I got some very influential guy that I think passed me. I just didn't. I think the traditional school system just didn't fit me, and so I was chomping at the bit, as they say, to go work. I want to hustle, make money, and so this Turkish kid was in my class, and we just assimilated Middle Eastern. I got to know his story. His parents were also self-employed. They owned liquor stores, and he worked every Saturday. And I'm like, okay, I get you, man. I understand you. You understand me. So one day he started coming to school in a suit and tie. And I'm like, dude, why are you wearing a suit and tie? He goes, I'm working. I have a second job. I said, wow. I said, what do you do? He goes, I'm in the mortgage business. I said, what the hell is that? And he explained to me, and he goes, Amir, you would kill it. I said, what do you even do? And he explained, I go, dude, I don't want to sit at a desk doing spreadsheets and crunching numbers. I go, I hate that. I help people. He goes, it's not even that. You're going to talk to people. That's what the business is. It's not even doing loans. The loans is a byproduct. It's how many people you can get. So I lived at home till I was 27, Sam. That's also, I think, another recipe is I sacrificed a lot of my 20s. I lived at home, right? I had a good relationship with my family. I saved a lot of money. I took financial pressure off me. I sacrificed a lot, right, to live at home, right? And so I saved a lot of money. I didn't have the financial pressure, so I could take the risk. So he says, I'm going to get you a job, Amir. So I talked to my dad and mom one day having breakfast on Sunday morning, Iranian breakfast,
for sure.
all that my mom would make every Sunday. And I said, Dad, do you think I should go? He goes, you have to work for somebody else. He goes, you can't work for me forever. You have to know what it's like to work for somebody. Because if you're going to be a company owner one day and you don't have that empathy and that experience of what it's like to work for somebody else, you won't treat your people right. Because no matter what, you work for me, I give you a lot of slack, So I said, okay. So I called him and he got me an interview with this small mortgage company. I called the owner. He picked up. I thought it was some 50-year-old guy. He goes, I'm only 25. Don't call me Mr. Taylor. You can call me Kevin. He goes, come by Friday for an interview at 1. I said, it's lunchtime. How about I bring you lunch and we can have some lunch while I interview? He says, no, it's okay. Just come by. I said, I insist. He goes, just come by for the interview on Friday at 1. I said, I got to get this job. I got to wow him, right? I went, bought a cheap suit, cheap shoes. I went to Nuna Kebab, which is a famous Iranian restaurant in Chicago. I got 3 platters of chinje, kubide, all this. Yeah. You feel me, my Persian brother?
Yeah.
I got all the good stuff, right?
Good
so
stuff,
I go there, I open the door. I'm thinking it's going to be some major company. It's like 5 kids sitting there and they all slowly stop talking on the phone. They look at me. They're like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, imagine that scene.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hi, I'm here to see Mr. Taylor. They're like, and they start laughing. Like, they're like, Kevin? And I'm like, yes. They're like, what's in the bags? I'm like, I brought you guys all lunch, man. I didn't know how many people are going to be here. And right off the bat, you can see they took the food. Kevin took the food. We started
Connection.
eating. You know,
Yeah.
the way to a man's heart is through his belly, right? And so they love the Persian food. The whole office started sneaking up. And I'm like, I got to get this job, man. Yeah. Like, if I bring food, I got them, right? And so he goes, I was hired. And he says, you know, you didn't even ask me how much you're going to get paid. I said, dude, I got to tell you, man, I don't even care. I said, I live at home. I have the ability to sacrifice by living at home. I said, I know I'm going to get paid. I said, I just have to cold call people and take mortgage applications. I go, are people making money here? They're like, yes. I go, I'm not even here. I'm very careful how I said that, Sam, because I was blessed to be living at home, right? And living way below my means. But I know it's not like that for everybody. But what I'll tell you is, for people that are listening, if you can live below your means, maybe shack up with 5 guys and keep your expenses less than $1,500, you can take some risks, you know? And I went into sales and I had no income limit. And I realized the first month, I said, hey, my output is directly controlled by me. So however much I work, I can make more? He said, yes. I said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I worked 6 days a week, man. I always took Sundays off. And the more I put in, the more money I made. And I'm like, dude, entrepreneurship is incredible, man. Like, he doesn't have a thumb on me because he's only paying me what I make to the company. There's no salary. So that's the long story short, man. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing that I want to ask you is many entrepreneurs, since they're ambitious, it kind of distracts them because like working for someone is not an option for some people because they have so much ambition. They want that success right now. What was your thinking behind it? I'm the ambitious guy. I want to beat all of this stuff. But right now, I have to put my head down and work for somebody else. What was your mindset behind it? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that. I used to struggle with it myself. So I'm curious to know, how did you think about it?
Yeah, I think I did struggle with that too, man. Mm-hmm. You know, my ego got in the way when I was young. And, you know, I felt like I can do it better than anybody. I was competitive, right? And I said, if he can own this company, I can own this company. And that was a mistake, right? If I can go back in time, I would have had time gives wisdom, hopefully, right? And everything worked out. I have no regrets, you know, and I learn and I make mistakes a lot less, you know, from my experiences of 20 years. But I think if, to answer your specific question, Sam, you know, I think you have to be a great follower to be a great leader, you know, and I think you have to work at places to learn the craft really on somebody else's dime, you know, and I think in this day and age with everyone kind of working remote and the connectivity of the world through social, there's no reason why you can't work for somebody, rent your time for their salary, and on the side hustle to build your own business as well. You can build the best of both worlds, man.
Yeah. I think it's a common behavior for entrepreneurs to be competitive. And I got to the point that, hey, just calm down, just take more experiences. And then maybe within 6 months, a year, your skills would take you to another level. And those experiences that I felt on in the business, they got me to be able to have my business right now. So I think, as you said, we shouldn't have any regrets. Every experience counts. And at the end, they all come together somehow.
I just think we have to learn how to fast track, right? Like the fast track is like, right? Like how can I be in an environment with really successful people? You know, maybe it's masterminds, but like wherever somebody goes works, you know, in your 20s, man, like that's the thing. It's tough to be in your 20s right now, man, because I'm 42, dude. Like that was like what? 12 years ago was my last year in the 20s, and social media was not really proliferant back then. You know, like it was was nascent. It was kind of coming out. And like now you're like, shoot, man, I'm on social media. Like if I don't drive a Bentley, I'm a piece of shit, you know? And like this guy's doing it. This guy's doing it, you know? And so the distractions and temptations are so difficult right now.
So much FOMO. Yeah.
Oh, FOMO. Yes, man. Like, so I feel for 20-year-olds, but what I want to tell them is I'm like, dude, Have
That's
so much fun in your 20s. If I can go back, I was so serious and so intense. Like, I
Yeah.
would love to go back and just have more fun and experiment and try different industries and meet different people, live in different locations, like live below my means, and not and just figure out, okay, well, what do I want to do? Your 20s are experimenting, dude. Your 30s, you're kind of like, okay, time to stop messing around. Like, I'm 32, 33. Like, I kind of know what my skill set is. I kind of know like who I want to date. I kind of have an idea of where I want to live, right? Like, I've gotten heartbroken a few times. I made some mistakes. Right? Like, okay, now I got to build, And then in your 40s, which I'm going into, it's like, this is when you really, really start to take off, man. Because what happens, Sam, is those years of experience, if you've done it right, I know very quickly who I'm going to be around within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Because you just know. You just know intuitively. I'm like, I know. I'm not going to say. I'm going to say no, 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 no. Yes. Where it was like yes, 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 yes. So those experiences allow you to accelerate, decisions now.
Yeah.
And I only stay in my zone of genius.
Yep.
So if that gives any type of inspiration to 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds, is like, dude, like you're gonna have to go through that journey.
Exactly. And I think it just points at self-esteem and self-confidence. Throughout this journey, you learn to build your self-esteem and self-confidence and know what you want and not be ashamed of not being around the people you don't want to. So I think that's one thing that everybody struggles with. So one question that I have, I'm really curious about this is, let's say, God forbid, you lose everything you have right now, all the money you made, your business, everything is on fire. And in this age, in this era, you want to start again. What's the first thing you will do? What's the first action you will take that will make you some money so you can scale your business again?
Man, as long as I have God, I have my health, I have my wife, and I have my daughter, I'm a billionaire. I want to be very clear. Okay. So I'm good there. That if I got stripped down, I'm all good, man. Right. Now, to answer your question specifically, well, how we build back up, there's never been a better time and an easier time to make money. Okay. So if I was dead broke. Okay. I would go first find a job because I got to support my wife and my kid. Right. Because I need money to make money. Now, really, I would go to my network because my network I will never lose it unless like I did some fraudulent things. My reputation was tarnished, that I lost everything. I still have my network, which is worth millions.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've built a network, and so I would go to people and say, can I borrow money? Right. Believe in me. I need $10,000. You understand? So I'm I know it's kind of a fictitious type of scenario, but truly I would go find my network. And if I had no network, right, like literally you planted me somewhere and I had no network, I would go find a job, right, work, at least get paid salary. I'd find something, right? And then side hustle, I would go online and I would learn how to sell. So for example, I would say, okay, what is one niche I'm really good at? No one can take away my sales skills because that's in my soul and my spirit and my mind. I've worked very hard for that. What's a high ticket offer I can sell? So let's say you do podcasting, right? So I would go out, I would learn very hardcore how to create organic content for my avatar, my niche. I would get on every social platform. I would pump major specific value add posts, right? I would go to where all my avatar hangs out. I would engage them, conversate with them. I would convert them to one-on-one calls, and I'd create a coaching program. I'd create an e-learning program, and within 6 months to a year, I would get it to $100,000 a month. I'd make $1 million in 12 months through that strategy.
What you're saying is basically selling is the first skill you need. If you want to start again, you go back on your intuition, what you've learned, your skill set.
The highest income skill in the world is selling. I can't stress it enough. If you know how to sell, you'll never go broke. And if you know how to sell, you'll always make a lot of money, right?
Selling is in everything. Even for people who want to get job interview, they have to learn how to sell themselves, like what they do.
How did I get my job,
skill.
Sam?
Yeah,
I brought food.
Yeah.
Who brings food to an interview? I brought lunch no matter what. I sold everybody because I brought them food.
Yep.
I stood out over everybody because nobody else did that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's exactly right.
True.
Even when you interview, you sell yourself. We are a walking product, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I would find a niche where I knew people have money to spend. I would go to a niche where I know there's a void to fill. I would study the crap out of it at night. And every day I would go hang out in the social world virtually where that avatar is. And I would engage thoughtfully and I would route them back to my profile, which is optimized, my virtual storefront, right?
Yeah.
And I would pump out incredible content every single day. I would give them so much value information for free. And then I would be a reporter like you. I would go out and interview the best people in that world, create the content, and then I would bring them into my coaching program and I would coach them to get the results.
For sure, you need to have some sort of backbone on social media. But something else that I've learned, and I've tried it myself, is when everybody's going somewhere, like it's like a stock market. When everybody's buying, you should sell.
Yes.
When everybody's selling, you should buy. So in that sense, what at the beginning when I started in 2022 again, I thought nobody's doing door-to-door sell anymore, especially everyone is remote. So immediately took clients from that because nobody's expecting you to do that. So I think in the beginning, you have to be aware of, all right, so I need a backbone of social media, but I also need to just survive, then scale. There are so many actions we take that are not scalable. Basically, what I'm saying is at first, you don't have to think about scaling. At first, you just have to think about how can I make this operation work? And then slowly you can think about scaling.
You know, that's exactly right. Like you gotta build the airplane in the air, man. You know, like you just gotta first sell it and then build it. That's what I always say. I used to be a big, build it and then sell it.
Sell it, yeah.
But dude, these day and age, you don't need the tangible things anymore, man. You just you have to get the knowledge and you can sell your knowledge, right? You have to obviously do the work. I believe in credibility. I think you have to walk the talk. I think, you have to be credible, right? In terms of what you do. But dude, people right now are yearning to learn from other people and they're gladly paying for it. That's that commerce of e-classrooms and this new wave of just like exchanging your time for your knowledge for your money. Like I've never look how you and I met, dude. We met through LinkedIn, man. Like, dude, if there was no social media, I never would have met you probably. What are the chances? You're in California, you're right. Think about like the power we have through social now. And very few people, Sam, are so like it just like they don't feel comfortable sharing content, right? And then B, they don't know how to do it. Well, you have so many resources to kind of put frameworks together how to create content and be attractive to people, you know?
Yeah. Just YouTube it. You can educate yourself on YouTube. Anything you want.
Anything you want. That's exactly right.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I saw in your content is you were talking about how you learn to do cold calls. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a tough thing to do. Show me an example of how do you do cold calls? What's the approach? What's the framework? What do you do in order to do the cold call? Hey guys, thank you for listening this far. If you're enjoying this, I would appreciate it if you can subscribe and share this episode with anybody you think needs to hear it. So the algorithm can also help this podcast to reach more people and help more people out. Let's get back into the episode.
Well, first off, it's I've made more cold calls than many people I know. That's how I got my start. It was the greatest skill I've ever learned. Because if you can call someone blindly, never have met them, you have no body language, right? And you understand delivery and tonality, and you can convince people to give you their social security number for a mortgage application without any of their prior knowledge of who you are, it's a great skill. And let me tell you how I became very good at it. Number one is mindset, okay? So what's in between my two ears in my head has to be primed. I really believed in what I was selling. I really believed that I was helping people. And I was. My heart was in the right place. I know that I was going to save them money from paying a high interest rate on a mortgage to get them a lower one. And so I grew up with not much for a large part of my life. And I know how much $200 can go for someone. Because when my parents went to a nice dinner and we spent $60, it was like, holy cow. So I had empathy with people about how much money can be saved. And I thought I created a story in my head that people were being taken advantage of and they're being ripped off, and I'm going to save them. Okay. So I had a lot of passion in my belly to do that. So first you have to almost prime your mind of what you're doing, right? So that's number one. I believed in it because sales is a transfer of enthusiasm. If I don't believe in it, they're sure as heck are not going to believe in it. My words when I would speak were coated with belief, right? So look at, second is you have to create a list of who am I calling, right? What is their number one pain point that I already know they have, okay? Then you got to just pick up the phone and you have to make, when you make the call, the first 30 seconds are so powerful.
Yeah, the hook.
The hook is so powerful. So how did I harness all that in to get their attention, right? I had them feel that I was there to save them. I had them get their emotions riled up. So what would that look like? I created exclusivity. I created scarcity. I created emotional connectivity all within 30 seconds. So when I would call, they would pick up and I'd say, "Hi, Jack." They say, "Yes." So right off the bat, I would say their name, which is the most important thing someone owns.
Yep.
"Hi, Jack." "Yes." "Hi, Jack. My name is Amir. I'm one of the top local lenders. I saw your interest rate as 8%. I only call 1 or 2 homeowners a week that I know I can help. I don't think it's right that you're paying that high of an interest rate. You work very hard for your money. You go to work, you come home to provide for your family. There's no reason you should be wasting that type of money. I think the banks are taking advantage of you, and I'm going to help you."
Yeah.
See how powerful that is? I'm
So
not
kind of
saying, "How are you?"
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. I
Jump
get right to
into
it.
Yeah. And then if you put it in the framework, is basically you're greeting, and then after that you say, "Hey, I know your problem. You've done your research. You know what's the percentage that they're paying." So as soon as you say that, they're like, "This guy knows what I'm thinking about." And then you create this scarcity that I only call 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
And then by that 30 second, you already got them. And then from that then on, you can explain a little bit more and then get them on the
And then I
sales
create the
process.
villain,
Yeah.
the bank. They're taking advantage of you, and you work really hard. So I empathize with them. That's all in 20, 30 seconds, man. And so I learned through emotional intelligence and to remove my greed, right? I'm not a greedy guy. I'm a very selfless guy because I truly believe, dude, you get in your car in the morning, you commute probably an hour, you come home, $200 is $2,400 a year. If you're making $5,000 a month as an average American, $60,000 a year, that's legitimately, dude, that's legitimately 2 weeks to 4 weeks wasted of you paying interest on your mortgage. So in everyone's field, you have to identify the pain, you have to create the villain, and you have to create the empathy, and you have to have them feel like you're their savior, all within 30 seconds. And that's when you become a great salesperson. That's just cold calling now, remember, right? Like,
Yep.
and I can teach people, I can share with people, it'll be really very hard pressed. And in every sales environment, everybody has a pain. Like your podcast, right? Hey, like I'm not going to freestyle it off the dome, but like what you taught me about podcast networking, how to get your foot in the door and add value. And like, I can package that up so well that anyone you reach out to, dude, you'll bend the ear of 5 out of 10 people right off the bat.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
You know?
That's so true. And I think the first 20 seconds of everything is so important. Even your email, the first 20 character or the 20 word you put, it's so important. So you can get them interested in what you want to talk about because people don't have patience and they don't have the time.
When people start understanding what I just said, that there's nothing different in the virtual world or how it is in basic human mannerisms physically, in the first 30 seconds to 60 seconds, they start to realize, dude, holy shit, that's right.
Yep, that's true. And I think what you mastered, which is super important, and I think I saw this in one of the Bruce Lee movies. It was so funny.
I love Bruce Lee, man.
But it was impactful. Like, I can't remember the exact phrase, but it was something like this. Everybody is moving toward winning. They want to win. They want to learn how to win. But nobody's learning the art of dying. If you learn how to die, how to get rejection, if that's the power. Because everybody's moving toward that direction.
I love that, man.
It's
dude,
so cool.
I love that. I love that. You have to have a, You have to have a really good relationship, bro, with fear and faith. You have to have a great relationship with rejection, man. And cold calling taught me that, dude.
Yeah, putting your ego away. It's tough. It's tough, man. Yeah.
Bro, I'm so glad you brought up that Bruce Lee. We have to dig it up. And
Yeah, it's so
Bruce
cool, man.
Lee
I can
is
send
like,
it to you. Yeah.
that guy was the man, dude. He's so underrated for this younger generation, man. Bruce Lee.
For sure. Yeah. The other question that I have is, I focus to deliver value to startups, B2B companies and SaaS companies. And one thing that I always consider is, after all of these experiences that you had, what's the number one mistake? Just one mistake that you would say any startup should avoid when they're starting. What's the number one mistake?
Oh, man. Whew, just one, huh?
Yeah. Either the system or thinking process, whatever you think. What system they should avoid, or what kind of thinking pattern they should avoid? What's the mindset?
Man, what a great question, dude, right? My mind is
Yeah.
racing right now with like so many different answers I can give you.
Yeah.
But I think a startup at the very early stages, you got to fill the funnel, dude. Sales.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put everything in sales. Don't worry about all the back end stuff, man. Like that stuff will figure it out. Put as much of your time and energy on offense. Bring the clients in, dude. They don't know, and then you'll fulfill them. You'll figure it out. You're gonna sheer will to fulfill,
You have
but
to figure
put
it
all
out.
your heart and energy in how do I acquire clients, dude.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's number one.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like most people, when they want to do that, they don't have self-confidence they can figure it out. Like, they don't know if they can figure it out. They're too afraid of getting clients because they're like, how can I fulfill it? I have no clue. But it's like, they have to realize entrepreneurship, it's about this. Like, you have no clue of what you're doing until you establish yourself.
That's, you're winging it, bro. Everybody's winging it, man. Like, that's why on LinkedIn, like, I'm always like, dude, everyone's got Photoshop on here. Like everyone's like I want to hear like your pains, because I think every entrepreneur, they're winging it, man. Like, I wing it every day, bro. Like, don't think I got it all. I don't wing it as much, right? Like, I have it pretty dialed in, but trust me, every day I'm learning new things, and I'm like, oh my God, let's see how this goes.
Yeah. Especially in the startup phase, you have to do it so you can get it rolling and get it going. And then the other question I have is the opposite. What's the most important system they should apply that it will help them to scale their business? Is it hiring good people? Is it learning how to hire, basically the hierarchy, basically? Or what kind of system you think is the most important one they should apply when they are starting a startup?
I would say this might be a surprising answer, but time management, man. Literally sitting down and saying, what are my big rocks? What are the little rocks? Right? And what I have to do. I have to create a systematized time management protocol that I know that every single day from certain period to another period, this is my appointments of activities that I have to focus on, right? Because it's very difficult to just show up and not have your calendar direct you. Okay? That's the blueprint. So an entrepreneur has to think, okay, my business is built on marketing, sales, ops, and finance. Let's be honest. I have to market my business. I have to be seen before I'm known. I have to sell. I have to fulfill, which is ops, and I have to make some money. Well, I can't run my business like a spaghetti, man. I got to run it a little bit like waffles, right? And what I mean by that is, okay, when is the time and day every day that I want to give 100% to marketing and sales? What times of the day and the week do I want to hyper concentrate on fulfilling, right? When do I want to have uninterrupted time where I manage the books, right, for an hour? What do I immediately need to delegate that I hate doing of all those four? Because nobody's doing all four of them, right? At the beginning, you have to do that. So I would say, dude, a time management system of focused activities that are uninterrupted for an entrepreneur at the beginning, because they run around all over the place, dude.
Yep. I mean, I asked this question not on the podcast, but with some of the entrepreneur friends that I have, and their answer is delegation. They just say like, delegate. Like, as you said, the basic is first you have to manage yourself, and then once you learn how it works and you are moving forward, I think the first thing you have to do is to delegate. And it's tough for business owners to do, especially in the beginning. You don't trust people to do what you do. And you think your credibility is going to be affected, which is to some sense true. But you got to take the risk and open up your time in order to move forward.
Do you remember how I told you earlier the highest income skill in the world is selling?
Selling, yeah.
You know what the hardest income skill in the world is? Scaling.
Yeah, for sure.
It's you sell at first, you're like, man, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah.
But then you can't scale because they don't want to delegate.
Yeah.
They have a control
micromanaging.
freak.
Yeah.
Micromanaging. So, dude.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, Sam. You nailed it. It's dedicating and self-managing yourself to your time blocking of what the most important things are. And as you go through them, as what do you hate to do the most? That's the first thing you delegate.
Yeah, that's for sure. What's the number one piece of advice you have for leaders? What do you think leaders should do? How did you lead your team?
Empathy. When you have University of Chicago, Northwestern grads, hopefully listen to this one day, I want to put them all on notice. Mm-hmm. No one gives a shit about your IQ, bro. It's EQ. You guys go to these big, fancy MBAs. I make more money than 90% of you guys. Okay? And I'm a high school dropout. You know why? It's because I have a high EQ. Mm-hmm. You guys go to these schools, these fancy places. You have your spreadsheets. And I'm not talking to you. I'm a little smash mouth, right, Sam? As you get to know me a little bit, right? A lot of them need to be put on notice that, like, having relationships with people. These people all have personal lives. They go home and they talk at the kitchen table with their wife or their husband, and the stress of the day, they take that undue stress a leader will give on them to their kids. You follow me? Like, you have a big responsibility, and everything doesn't fit into a spreadsheet. You understand? Like, you need human beings to be successful. Mm-hmm. You follow me? And you don't want to be a miserable millionaire. So empathy and understanding where people are, man, and being attuned with them is how you become a loved leader. That anyone will do anything for you. You have to connect before you direct. You understand? So empathy is the biggest thing. If you can empathize with people and you get their heart and you can connect with them, more often than not, you'll make more money than you can ever imagine. People will stick with you and they'll never leave you and they'll do anything for you.
So one follow-up question I have for you is, so many of us as business owners or entrepreneurs, we are afraid of being too empathetic with our employees because we are afraid of we break that boundary. How can you keep the boundary with your employee? By boundary, I mean, some of the employees, they just want to take advantage, and once you break that boundary with them, it's natural for them to approach you in different ways, and you trust them to do their work. You don't want to hire another person. What's the difference when you're managing your employees? And what do you do to have the both words?
Well,
empathy, remember, and also have
empathy doesn't mean to be weak. Okay?
Yeah.
Empathy doesn't need to be nice. Nice doesn't make it in business.
Mm-hmm.
Good makes it in business. Nice guys finish last. You've heard that?
I like that. Mm-hmm. I like
Good
that.
guys finish first.
Yeah.
So being empathetic doesn't mean that, like, you can walk all over me. So it's not like you just show up to work every day and say, how are you feeling today, Sam? Like, when I say empathy, like, empathy is the driver for leaders once they have foundations and they have accountability and they have clear responsibilities and duties laid out, right? But when you're building a business with someone and you have a few staff members at the beginning, right, you're going to make mistakes on hiring them. Don't blame them. You're just a bad hirer. Yeah. You got to take full accountability. You're learning how to hire people. You're learning what seats to put them in.
Yeah.
Right. So you're making mistakes there. That's a skill you have to learn. Scaling is the hardest thing. Is how do I recruit, hire, train, develop, retain?
Yeah.
Right. That's a scaling skill that you have to learn. And so you're going to make some bad hires. You're not going to know how to have standard operating procedures. You're not going to know how to have accountability. You're not going to be a great trainer. You will learn all these things, but you have to have your heart in it and know that it's all accountability. Anybody that I hire that doesn't make it, it's 100% my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I didn't interview the right way. I didn't give you set rules and responsibilities the first 90 days. I didn't fire you fast enough, right? Because maybe you gave me your best representative, but I kept you around and I'm getting upset with you. It didn't work out. To be a successful business person is hard, man, right? But when I say empathy, you always have to have empathy with people that Their struggles are a lot of your leadership levels. But once you create all the foundation and all that, you have to be patient with people. You have to know they're building it with you, and you have to get their input, right? You have to be attuned with them. So it's a very simple, how I can finish my thought on that, Sam, is like, you have to learn how to work with people, man.
100%.
That's the bottom line. You have to treat people how they want to be treated. You know, the other day I called my assistant and I said, I'm so proud of you. I said, you're doing great. And here's what you did really well. I go, your birthday was yesterday. How can I show you I love you? How can I show you that I care about you? Because you've been with me so long. She said, Amir, I actually want to go to this personal development event in Dallas in October. I said, how much is it? She told me, I said, I'll buy you the ticket. I'll buy you the airfare and I'll buy you the hotel. She didn't tell me, give me a raise. She didn't tell me to take, I thought she was going to ask for that because that's what I like is money, right? But I treated her how she wanted to be treated, not how I wanted to be treated. Mm-hmm. That means I'm attuned with people. I have empathy with them. It's emotional intelligence is the most important thing leaders can have.
I'm sure you have a busy schedule, and picking that up and being able to call that person and appreciate them for what they do creates a great team. That call that you did, you know, I had the experience of working for other people and they just don't notice you. They don't even see you are there. And this traditional kind of corporate leadership, it just doesn't work. It's one-on-one human beings. Like if I want to like you, you just have to respect me, but I do my job, you know? So it's just, it doesn't make sense to me either.
Sam, you got to have a mix of business to business to consumer, but human to human. B to B, B to C, H to H, dog. You know, like that's the thing, bro. Like you gotta connect. You gotta know how to connect with people, man.
100%. I just want to know a little bit more about your business. We're getting to the end of the podcast. Just want to know a little bit more about your business, and just let us know what you do at the Growth Only Coaching. So,
Growth Only Coaching is being rebranded to Go Coaching. Go, G-O. I like it because it's like, just go, man, go. Let's go. Yeah. Let's just build the airplane in the air. Motivation and confidence happens when you just go, you know? Mm-hmm. And so GO stands for growth only, because if you just go and you just create action and you just do, you will grow, right? And so it was a really ingenious type of thing that God gave me one day. And I'm like, okay, I'll name it this. And so we are quickly becoming the #1 loan officer coaching company in North America. My main thing is I'm a loan officer. I help people finance homes. And so I'm very good at it. And I'm teaching others and sharing with other people how to be successful. We're launching a realtor division for real estate agents as well on July 1st. And we realize a lot of modern loan officers and realtors believe in modern content creation. Nobody does it in-house. So we bought an agency company. It's going to be called Go Creative, all in-house. 2 main producers, like 14 editors, production managers. Everything's going to be in-house to capture the loan officer's brand, so they can be seen before they're known. So that's all going to be under one umbrella. My vision for my life, though, is not to coach loan officers and realtors forever. I'll end up becoming the chairman of Go Coaching, and I'll eventually start coaching business people like you, Sam. My calling, though, Sam, is not, I'm going to be the chairman of Go Ventures. It's going to end up becoming where I'm coaching business people around the world. That's where I think God is leading me, where I coach young men like you, young women, all business owners around the world with all the fundamental principles that I've learned in my career, how they can 10x their business through my strategies. So my passion, I think, is going to end up becoming coaching entrepreneurs. And that's where I'll get on a global stage, because I know I have a way of communicating to them in very snackable, digestible, specific ways that they feel that I came from nothing, that I've hard earned it, that I'm not some polished, educated guy. I think the world needs people like that.
Yeah, for sure. And if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get connected to you? If anybody wants to use your business or they're just curious to know more about it.
Yes, guys, I'm on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, it's just at Amir Siyad. AmirSyed is my Instagram handle. Hit me, DM me, let me know you listen to this or watch this podcast, and we'll follow one another back. But I put a lot of content out there. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Facebook, but Instagram is really a place I play a lot in.
was great having you, Amir. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Some of these questions, I wanted to know more about it because I'm in the same process of growth. And it was an enjoyable conversation, man.
My
I really
Persian
enjoyed it.
brother. Let's go, man. I'm proud of you, Sam. I know it takes a lot. And the way you approached me, I loved it. You cold DM me. I get so many, but the way you approached me, you really caught my attention. And I'm so happy you interviewed from the podcast. So thank you, my brother.
I appreciate it, man.
I make more money than 90% of you guys.